UFC Vegas 69 recently wrapped up, and I'm going to react to the entire card, talk about each of the matchups from the first fight of the night all the way up to the main event, and I'm just spoiling it for you that haven't seen it. Erin Blanchfield, lock of the week, comes through as an underdog, beats Jéssica Andrade, and she's next up. But we'll get deep into that in just a little bit. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and turn those post notifications on too. First fight starts off Clayton Carpenter with a clean win over Juan Camilo Ronderos. He did what I thought he was capable of because Ronderos is so iffy on the ground. He's very inactive as a fighter too, but in his debut, Dvorak strangles him. I feel like in this fight here, I knew if Carpenter got the back, it would probably be big trouble for Juan Camilo Ronderos. He showed okay wrestling early, even getting Carpenter down, but the jiu-jitsu lacks. Carpenter gets top position, is able to pass, work towards that back, strangle him, that's it, tap out, fight over. Great win for Clayton Carpenter to debut in the UFC here. He's a fun prospect, still young, 26, but 7-0 is a nasty record. Good weight class, flyweight, one that, a few more wins, you can start leveling up. Granted, there's some savages on the come up, like Muhammad Mokaev, who's somebody that everybody kind of has to keep an eye on at 125 pounds. Tatsuro Taira, Clayton Carpenter, not of that caliber, obviously, just yet. But who knows? Time will tell. Give him some more fights. Good win starting it off for Clayton Carpenter. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, AJ Fletcher and Themba Gorimbo. Clean win for Fletcher, but I will say there was moments of lapse. There was moments Gorimbo had his back, had positions on him. Fletcher made a couple mistakes at times, and even Gorimbo on the opposite side made some mistakes too. Fletcher ends up getting the guillotine choke and then flipping it to full mount and getting the tap. It was tight as hell. Gorimbo's so long, though, because he was able to make it fairly competitive in a fight that I thought he didn't have the skills for. I thought AJ would be better with the boxing, and he was, and the jiu-jitsu, everything. Clean win for AJ Fletcher. But just, at times, some positional errors. It happens. He's still a developing guy. He's 26. He's so young in this game. 10-2. Gets his first UFC win. He's so physically strong and jacked, but he does have really short arms. And as you move up the ranks, that runs you into some trouble. But I will say, I think those short arms help tighten up that guillotine as he locked it in on Gorimbo and got the tap. Good win for AJ Fletcher. Let's keep running to our next fight. Next one on the card, it's Philipe Lins slaughtering Ovince Preux. I won't even call this a fight. OSP looked 90. He looked worse than Shogun did in his final fight. I think it's time for Ovince Preux to call it. And I don't think he should decide, oh, I'm going to go try bare knuckle out because he's going to get flattened over there. You saw what happened to Greg Hardy in bare knuckle, and he was a guy that, he wasn't looking completely horrible at the end of the UFC run. He was just getting beaten by guys who had better skills overall. He still won fights in boxing. OSP now, if he gets released and then he thinks I'm jumping bare knuckle, I think he's in for big trouble because he wasn't even responsive to Lins, who just closed the gap on him with wide shots and froze him. Great win for Philipe Lins. Knockout. Made OSP run from him. He barely threw a strike. Holy shit, what a beating. Lins looked shredded. He looked in good shape. And he looks like he's got some more fun fights on the rise. Granted, how much do we really know from this one as he beats the corpse of Ovince Preux? So Philipe Lins, good performance. OSP, I really think Father Time wins this one. And he might be calling it real soon. Next fight on the card. Jamal Emmers, Khusein, Askhabov. Listen, I said Aska fraud on the live stream. Granted, I was exaggerating a little bit because it's not like he's a horrendous fighter. He went the distance with an experienced guy in Jamal Emmers. But at 23-0, there is an expectation that you are incredible. What we saw was a decent fighter that got clearly outmatched by Jamal Emmers. I will say Askhabov, I think he's going to go back down to 135, and I feel like the UFC is keeping him around. But they cut Sadykhov Kakramanov after a loss to Said Nurmagomedov in a fight that he was winning. He shouldn't have been cut. So who knows what they're going to do with Askhabov. I don't know about him as a real deal contender threat. He is 28. There's times where he's gassing himself, throwing spinning attacks. I think making mistakes, loading up on big shots. Got out-muscled, outgunned, outstruck. Everything was all Jamal Emmers here. It was a one-sided fight and a clear win for Jamal, who came through. If you had him as a dog, God bless you. I thought Askhabov was the Mac at 23-0. There's an expectation. Granted, the competition level wasn't great. I expected the in-cage work to be pretty damn great. What we got is an performance. Clean win for Jamal. Jamal looked really good. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Jamall Emmers. He beat a 23-0 fighter and took his O away. That's impressive. I just feel like there was such an expectation with the OV at the end that it's like we still reflect on his performance looking, as, I guess, bad as it did, as opposed to how good Emmers looked. Emmers with a good win. But we kind of know where his ceiling lies. He's 33. He's a, solid enough guy, but he's not going to be in the top 15. For Askhabov, we're thinking maybe he's the future of the weight class, at least enough so to become ranked. Right now, I don't love the chances of it. I mean, he's still got time to develop. He's 28, so relatively young, but a clean loss to Jamall Emmers to start things off in the UFC. And I think he's got to drop a weight class. Next fight, Mayra, Bueno, Silva, Lina, Länsberg. At times, it was competitive in the clinch for Länsberg, pressing on Bueno Silva. But in the second round, Bueno Silva started getting going. She locks up a submission. I mean, the leg freaking, I guess not the leg bar. What am I saying? The knee bar is close to an arm bar. The bar submissions are what Bueno Silva specializes in. Her arm bars are incredible. She gets a knee bar in this one. Lina Länsberg tapped quick. It was over. It was done. Mayra Bueno Silva's stand-up looks pretty solid. She's a polished fighter. I think she wants to fight Raquel Pennington. That might be too far up the rankings for her. But, I mean, Lina Länsberg was still technically ranked, even though I don't get it. I don't know why she was. These girls are top 15. Bueno Silva's on a nice little roll, though. 3-fight win streak. Things are starting to come together for her. She's got good Muay Thai. She's got really nasty submissions. That's where she shines a lot. But she was a huge favorite, and she did what she was supposed to here. Clean finish. Good for Mayra Bueno Silva. And she'll be moving on up the ranks. Next fight on the card. Nazim, Sadykhov, and Evan Elder. It was just unfortunate for Evan Elder. Because he was in the fight. He was winning the fight on the judges' scorecards before the cut stoppage. A perfectly placed knee by Sadykhov split open Elder's eye. And then it continued to get a little bit worse as the round went on. Fucking next thing you know it, they stop it. Done. Fight over. And like, come on, man. It was 2 rounds down for Evan Elder. And then one quick moment, perfect strike, Sadykhov does the damage that gets the fight stopped. So it's a legit TKO, doctor's stoppage victory for Sadykhov. He looks at this fight and he says, oh shit, I got pushed to the limit. I got tested. Elder was landing big punches. Elder was muscling him up too in the clinch. It was a damn good fight, and Evan Elder is a fun guy to watch. There's no quit in him, so him getting stopped by cuts, obviously very unfortunate. I see more fights for Evan Elder. He's only 25. He's definitely not getting released. Super entertaining fight. This was the front runner for fight of the night because it was absolutely fantastic as it lasted. It is unfortunate for Elder losing, but it is a kind of epic style comeback for Sadykhov to land the strike that just destroys the upper eye, and then boom, they stop it. So Sadykhov, some things to work on, but still good performance. Evan Elder, not a guy that should be getting cut. He was on his way to winning, so hopefully they don't release him. You reward him. I think you give him win money too because he looks so good out there. Help this kid out. He's 25. He deserves win money. Then the next fight of the night happens. This one might have stole fight of the night for me. It was absolutely awesome. Jim Miller, Alexander Hernandez threw down. The first round, Jim Miller looks like he's in the fight. I gave him the first round. Second round, Hernandez outstriking him, touching him up, like really putting it on him. Jim Miller was beaten up after the second round. Third round, more from Hernandez. I feel like Jim Miller was close to that submission late, but the fact that Hernandez finishes the fight on top steals him that decision. So Hernandez gets what's deserved as a win. I like the damage he did to Jim Miller, but Jim was scrapping with him. Jim Miller likes that left hand, right hook. He was throwing wide shots at times too with a lot of power and touched up Hernandez for sure. But Alex Hernandez is landing more. He had a more diverse attack. Miller very punch-centric, where Hernandez would mix the punches and kicks all together and obviously surmounted more strikes and I think he got a well-deserved win. I really think that he should have got it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. That's an Alexander Hernandez win. Very close fight, but Jim Miller still outgunned. Yes, he was finishing strong, nearly getting the choke, but he was losing the striking battle before. And then he finished on his back with Hernandez throwing big shots at him. So I see how they gave it to Hernandez. Clean win, 29-28. Jim Miller, I promise you, he's still fighting at UFC 300, and that's what I want to see from him. And Alexander Hernandez stays afloat, beats game Jim Miller after a really bad loss just 2 months ago against Billy Q. Down a weight class, back at 155. Good move, in my opinion. Great performance for Jim. And that was actually the first fight on the main card, but it's listed wrong on Tapology. So make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Marcin, Prachnio, William Knight. Let's talk about this fight. William Knight did not fight. I don't know what went wrong. It was a mental lapse. He was getting kicked from the outside, and he refused to try and close the distance on Marcin Prachnio. It was one of those head-scratching performances I couldn't understand. I didn't get it. I said, William Knight, what are you doing, man? He's just getting kicked from the outside. He's at a big disadvantage in range when you add the legs in there. Didn't even try to close the gap. Leg gets destroyed. It was his lead leg. Wasn't really switching stances. Was never really looking desperate, trying to do something and bring something through his, I don't know, thunder. I don't know, through, really pull something from his fucking ass would be the best way to put it for lack of better terms. Marcin Prachnio just out-kickboxed him throughout the whole thing, but it wasn't even like a kickboxing fight. It was like sparring, but William Knight wasn't doing anything. He was just getting completely outgunned, and he didn't throw any strikes, really. I think there's a legit chance that William Knight is cut after this performance. It was one of, if not the worst performances I've seen. It's up there with like a Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza rematch type performance. Horrible. And at a lower level for sure. Prachnio, clean win. I'm not trying to take anything away, but William Knight really did himself a huge disservice here. I don't know if there was an injury beforehand. I don't know what's going on up top, but that was not the William Knight that anyone expected. That was William no output. William 0 strikes being thrown Knight. William lay back and let this guy just kick the shit out of me Knight. What the fuck? That was a what the fuck type fight. Prachnio, good win, but for William Knight, my head is just boggled by that one. I don't understand. I don't get the game plan. There was not even an effort looking like to win. It was, this guy got me. Fuck this. I'm just going to let him kick me. I'm going the distance. Crazy. Prachnio, good win. Weird fight. Weird fucking fight. Next fight, Jamall Pogues and Josh Parisian. Pogues is wrestling, won him the fight. Got some decent boxing too. Parisian did finish strong though, but Pogues landed the more damaging shots. He landed takedowns. He got on top of Parisian. He won. UFC debut. I'll be real. I'm not overly impressed, though. I'm not like, wow, this guy looks like a top 15. I kind of feel like, okay, he beat Josh Parisian. I see him as a lower level heavyweight in the rankings. Fun fights on the ESPN Plus cards. He'll be at the Apex again, probably, or maybe a prelim fight. I could see him, I don't know, maybe work into a fight. I don't even know if they'd want to. I was thinking to give him to Pork Chop, Parker Porter, but I don't think they'd throw that one to him. Waldo Cortez Acosta really is a better name. I was thinking of that name earlier, but I didn't say it. Waldo Cortez Acosta down the line, Jamall Pogues maybe. Chase Sherman's another fight I could see for him. I don't know. The Josh Parisian win is not all that incredible. I mean, but it was a good win and clean, and he deserved it. But I just wasn't overly impressed. It wasn't a jump out the page like Jailton Almeida is a wow type heavyweight. You know he's going to be a problem. I don't see that with Pogues right now. Granted, 27. He has a lot of time left. He could develop into being better with time for sure, and he's obviously improving. But I'm just not sold about him like really merge into the top end of the weight class. I think he can have some fun though. Do his thing, win some fights. I'd like to see him get a knockout, because that's a good way to really get things started. Went long with Josh Parisian, who's always pretty game and tough. Pogues, we'll see what he brings in the next one right now. Good boxing, good wrestling, decent heavyweight. Co-main event. I have no fucking idea how this fight went the distance. Like, Jordan Wright gets finished every time, or he finishes his opponent. Zach Pauga, the last one, he got flatlined by Usman. I said, all right, there's going to be a knockout in this one. No. Pauga was able to use his clinch in the first round and hold Jordan Wright against the cage for the most part. Granted, he landed some strikes, some elbows that sliced up Jordan. Second round, more of the same, some striking from distance, but not a ton. Jordan Wright landed a couple okay punches. Third round, you actually see Pauga starting to kind of get to Jordan a little bit. He dropped him with a straight, and then he beat him up against the clinch more. Held him, though. Obviously, a lot of this fight was clinch fighting, holding against the cage, which, you know, that like holding against the cage style where you're not progressing for takedowns or really doing significant damage is my personal least favorite style to watch. Pauga did what he needed to do to win, but he needs to work on getting takedowns from there, not just holding position. He needs to work on setting up more strikes. Yes, there were some beautiful elbows landed inside, but a lot of it was him just holding, controlling the position. Sure, it's winning, but I don't really think that it's going to do much for your UFC career. Dana White and the UFC brass at the top, they're not saying this is a guy we push. you got to go out there and put it on your opponents. He mentioned after in the post-fight that, yes, he's looking for more finishes, but ultimately doesn't get one here. Jordan Wright looked tough. He gave it all he had. I know his mother passed away tragically, just I think several weeks back, like 4 weeks ago, I believe. Don't quote me exactly. So, obviously sad to hear that for Jordan Wright. Hope he's doing all right. Rest in peace to his mother. He gave a tough show, and he went the distance, which is something that Jordan Wright is never expected to do. At 205, he's definitely more durable. He takes a much better shot, but he still can't put it together, man. And he seems out-muscled at 205. Pauga, good win, but I'm not jumping up and down watching him like, yeah, that's a guy to keep an eye on. I think somebody's going to put it to him and touch that chin and flatline him. But just wasn't Jordan Wright here. Good win for Pauga, though. Clean win. Jordan Wright, respect for him going distance, though. Main event. Finally, we're at the main event. Make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. Let's talk Erin Blanchfield annihilating Jéssica Andrade. The first round, what do you see? Erin Blanchfield striking with Andrade. I don't know why. I felt like I was watching like a Nate Diaz 1-2 down the line as Blanchfield touched up Andrade. Sure, Andrade was landing too, but what did Erin Blanchfield do that no one else does? She bullied Andrade. Andrade is always bullying everybody. Nobody puts it on her with pressure. Blanchfield did just that. And she touched Andrade good on the feet. It was a competitive striking match. I gave the first round to Blanchfield, winning the striking. Her takedowns were getting stuffed, but she was landing good punches. Real good punches. At the end of her shot, she ate some too for sure, and her chin is solid because Andrade loads up. Round 2 comes. You're starting to see, okay, they're getting into it. There's more strikes. Blanchfield's just not backing down. When she finally gets a takedown, things are starting to go good. As they're against the cage, she's able to get Andrade down, jump to the back, and it was not even like a second before she's already under the chin. I said, that's it. That's wraps. It was a minute 37 seconds into round 2. It was immediate. Jéssica Andrade got strangled and she had to tap out. She had no respect for Erin Blanchfield, and that's why she took this fight on a week's notice, because she didn't think that she was going to run into the heat, which she did. And I said, why is Jéssica Andrade going to jump in and risk this spot where she can fight for the 115 belt? Because Blanchfield now needs an opponent, because there's no respect for Erin Blanchfield. Well, now she got some. And I call her Erin Blanchfield. I coined that nickname for her, so nobody else take it because it came from me. She's got nasty-ass grappling, but the hands are good. She's got some Stockton hands. She can box. Erin Blanchfield is a problem, and I think a legitimate threat to Valentina Shevchenko. If they go to the floor, Erin Blanchfield is significantly better than her. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu at 23. She's a specimen of a fighter. And her stand-up is coming along, too. People always shit on her stand-up. Look at it now. She touched up Andrade. Don't doubt Erin Blanchfield ever again. I'm telling you guys. I see her fighting for the belt. She wants the winner of Valentina and Grasso. I say absolutely. I think she beats both of them. Straight up. Erin Blanchfield is a menace. She's a monster. She beat Jéssica Andrade, who's the boogie woman. But Erin Blanchfield is next up as a world champion and could be the youngest, I believe, female champion ever at 24, which would be insane. She deserved this win. Andrade, no respect for her jumping in on a week's notice, not training for 5 rounds. Then you're just trying to sit in there and brawl. When she starts throwing and Blanchfield's not reacting to her shots, I think she was like, oh, fuck. This girl's got me. I mean, Andrade's whole game is based upon these wild hook flurries. A girl who throws straights down the line gets her, and that's what Blanchfield showed. Erin Blanchfield, huge win. Great performance. Overly impressed with her. She looks so fucking good. And I really think she's next up as a world champ. Let's talk about the picks real quick. Let's run through. All right, so obviously the lock of the week, Erin Blanchfield came through, went 1-0 on that one, 1-1 with Pauga. Obviously, I picked the side of Pauga early in the week, and then I felt something weird at weigh-ins and flipped it. Stupid decision on my end, but that happens sometimes, man. Unfortunate. So we'll say 1-1, and then 2-1 with Pogues winning, perfect pick. Prachnio, William Knight didn't even fight, 2-2. Alexander Hernandez, then he brought me to 2-3 because he got my guy Jim Miller. Sadykhov, thankfully getting the win, brings me to 3-3. Then Bueno Silva, submission, 4-3, money call. Jamal Emmers beating Askhabov, brings me to 4-4. Shit, I didn't expect him to bring the heat like that. Lynn, Slaughter, and OSP. Worst pick of all time. Ovince St. Preux is 4-5. And then AJ Fletcher wins by submission. I thought he would probably get Gorimbo out of there. Brings me to 5-5. And then we finish out. Clayton Carpenter gets it done. Juan Camilo Ronderos, submission. Perfect pick. 6-5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6-5 is not pretty, but the lock of the week hit. So I can't really be upset. And a dog that I thought would bring the heat in Jim Miller absolutely did. So I also can't be too upset in him. Fight game, baby. Shit's wild. I loved every second of it. Honestly, this card, most of the fights brought the heat. We had a little bit of some dull time after these two bangers. Then we had Prachnio fight with William Knight, which was a thumbs down. And then, Pogues versus Parisian is a middle thumb. Pauga versus Jordan Wright, middle thumb. It's okay. Decent. And then Blanchfield looked like a phenom in the main. So overall, I think UFC Vegas 69 was a great card. I hope you guys enjoyed my live stream. I was live for the whole thing. The fight companion was awesome. I appreciate so much love with the donos too in the chat. You guys are incredible. Smash the likes. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. Dropping the UFC full card predictions tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for those as well. Thank you all so much. Peace, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.